did all my training, my practices, and took a lot of supplements and herbs and everything, thinking that I could just write it out. I could sort of cancel out the, shortchanged 3 hours a night sleep. But at some point, I hit a wall. It really was, the human body can only go so long. You got to really give yourself the nutrients, the rest, and restoration that you need. You can't keep going like that. So for me, I discovered it early enough for me to right the ship. Some people don't, and they end up getting really sick, and some people don't make it. So this is, I really feel like the desire and the motivation is there for a lot of people out there. They want to be the best version of themselves, but you just can't unless you do all the basics right. You got to eat right, you got to sleep right, and you got to do the right type of, exercise activities that really serves your body well. And then everything else will fall in place. You got to work on your relationships in your community. A lot of people are working a lot, making a lot of money, which is great, but their relationships are in shambles. If they have kids, their kids need them. Hopefully you won't have regrets. Maybe if living long is a goal for you, think about the quality of life. It's not so much the numbers behind the age. It's the quality of your experience and your energy, your vitality that really defines meaning for you in this lifetime.
Mm. Do you remember when you look back, because for some, I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with feeling burnt out and not waking up with energy. What were some of these higher ROI things that have changed in your daily habit as someone that's also very ambitious that allows you to feel more aligned and recuperate your chi?
Yeah. It's I love this conversation going to ROI, return on investment, which is very, very valid, because we are thinking about, well, what's the payoff here, right? And at the end of the day, I would say the biggest change I made was to give myself more sleep. That was a game changer. I thought, like 4 hours, 5 hours, I can do it. And I did fine. I functioned very well and all of it. But, I was kind of running ragged around the edges, right? And I was being impatient. I was showing signs of stress that, my people around me were kind of sort of telling me. But I just said, no, that's not me. You go through kind of a period of denial, not realizing that, wow, I really have become this, kind of on the edge of burnout, and I need to make a change here. So as soon as I made that commitment, and it's a big change, right? If you think about it, like 3 extra hours of sleep every night to getting up to 7 to 8 hours a night, that's a lot of time investment, because normally I could have written another book
about sleep or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. I could have done more. I could have, given this lecture, in Europe or this and that. But I realized if I don't change my life, I wasn't going to last long. Mm. And here I have this best-selling book on Secrets of Longevity, and I'm going to be Dr. Mao who dies early, and that's just didn't work. It wasn't logical to me. And so I really had to take a hard look at it and ask myself, what's more important here? Writing a few more books and do this and that, or really have a much longer and higher quality of lifespan with my family and with those who I care, and I can still continue. I just do it at a slower pace. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So I just feel like I got caught up in this rush, get it done trend mentality that maybe society is part to blame, but I have to take responsibility. It was me. I mean, I'm a very driven person.
Yep.
And so anyway, I was definitely humbled by, my burnout.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. There's this Taoist philosophy that is Wu Wei, where it talks about effortless action. And it's just kind of letting things come rather than constantly trying to push for it. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. especially people that are type A, ambitious people that want to achieve big things, because a lot of the times they've been rewarded for pushing past the boundaries of what is acceptable. How does someone that is a high performer, can someone that's a high performer that wants to do big things in this world practice this concept of Wu Wei, yin and yang, which we can go into, yet still be ambitious, still be driven, and accomplish those things? Or is your advice to say, maybe you should just rethink those goals in the first place?
Wu Wei is a very fundamental concept in Taoism, and I teach Taoism, and we have a school devoted just to that called College of Tao. So Wu Wei, when it initially came to America, this whole concept, it was translated as non-action, Wu Wei. But the correct translation is, effortless action. And so how do you get into that place, right? So where, and I have to quote Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao Te Ching. I'll paraphrase this, that nature doesn't rush and yet all is accomplished. And if you think about that for a second and go, yeah, actually things do come to completion, and the world keeps moving, right? And the key is to kind of tap into that flow. So it means that, you don't have to apply any extra push or action. If you're a practitioner of Tai Chi, we do this push hands. And the push hands is allow you to be able to understand when you push and the other person, your partner, is absorbing that energy coming towards them. And you're taught to yield. And so if you push too hard, you'll be off balance. So the person pushing will lose their center. And that's a very good example of what happens when you push too hard. When you push too hard, then you lose your center. And when you lose your center, sometimes you don't realize it until it's like you get sick or you could injure yourself or you deplete yourself. So the idea is to be aware of your center and to be able to make progress. You can walk. It's like if you walk forward and if you lean too far forward, you're going to trip and fall, right? Right? But we need to keep moving so we can move at a certain pace. But don't lean, right, too far, and don't use too much force. And if you use too much force, like I'm training for my walk in Camino, and I'm going from Santa Monica to West Hollywood on foot. I can't burn out. I have to pace myself. So initially I was walking 4.5 miles an hour, right? That's like a kind of a brisk walk. And after about half an hour of that, my knee was starting to hurt me. So then I stopped and grabbed an ice pack for 15 minutes. And then I said, okay, I can't have this happening on my Camino. So I'm going to just pace myself. I slowed it down to 3.5 miles an hour. So now I'm strolling. And I found myself in West Hollywood like yesterday going, this wasn't hard at all. I mean, this is fairly effortless. And that's it. In life, you have these goals and aspirations and things that you want to go after, and it's a timing issue. Does it have to be tomorrow, right? I know. If you're in a startup and you want to be a unicorn, you'll just throw everything at it and make sure that you exit as a unicorn. But besides that, I mean, that's a little crazy. I'm not sure that in today's with what I know of myself and the wisdom that I've accumulated, that I would be willing to do that. I don't think I would be. But you're young and you've got tons of energy, and maybe that's what you do, right? But I would say pacing yourself and understanding what your limits are. And yes, you can push beyond your limits, but not to the extreme where you fall. But just continue to do so, but still staying within balance. So Wu Wei is about not applying any more effort than you have to in way of preservation. You have to maintain your energy integrity. If you don't have energy and vitality, what is there left? I mean, I have lots of patients who have heart failure. And one of the things about heart failure is that your heart is not pumping very strongly. and you have no energy to do anything. You know, walking a block is an effort. Going upstairs, forget it. What kind of life is that? I hope that none of the listeners get to that place, right?